PlayArtifact.com has finally been updated with the information for PAX West. Stay tuned for all of the decks that will be available at PAX West, along with a number of new cards, including a new hero. Hi folks, I'm Divok, and welcome to the Artificers Guild, the home of all things Artifact. We are right in the heart of the Dota 2 International 8 right now, patiently waiting for PAX West to learn more about Artifact. But Valve had other ideas. They wanted to let the public know what decks they'll be playing with at PAX West in 2 weeks' time. We will go over each of these decks, and at the end, we'll cover all of the new cards that were revealed along the way as well. Before we jump right into the decks, let's have a look at some of the other information that we got with this release. The first public showing is confirmed to not be at TI now. They've said this quite a few times. When I just saw it once, I thought maybe it was just them wording things poorly, but now they keep reiterating that the first public showing will be PAX West. So unfortunately, no show match at TI, but with all this extra information, I'm even more hyped for PAX West now. The tournament format will be a gauntlet, 1 versus 1 until the last man or woman is left standing. Everyone playing will get merch and 2 keys, whether you win or lose. To note, these 2 keys are for November 28th, not the beta. There is no way to get into the beta. During the gauntlet, you'll be assigned 1 random deck that you haven't yet used out of the 4 decks that are available. These 4 decks are Aggro, Econ Ramp, Control, and Armored Cleave. So, let's take a look at these decks, shall we? The first deck is Aggro. It's a black-blue deck with Solar Khan as its signature hero. The information for this deck reads, hit the opponent's tower hard and fast. Your troops are vulnerable. You must deploy your resources wisely, exploiting the weakness of your enemies since you can't match their strength head on. Dimensional Portal provides the raw materials you'll need. Assault Ladders and Disciple of Nevermore provide the support that you'll need to decimate the enemy tower. This black-blue deck is heavily centralized around huge damage, but you've got to position correctly. Make sure you stack damage on your heroes so that if the enemy does try and take them head on, they're going to lose their own hero as well. You want to be a threat, so the enemy decides not to attack you and gives you the space to work down the towers at your own speed. The early game is where you're likely going to be able to find holes in the enemy's defenses, but in the late game, it's not about exploiting your enemy's weakness, it's about creating that weakness. Use the cards given to you and make a hole in the enemy's defenses and punch through it with Solar Khan, Siege Ladders, and a number of other cards coming to us. The second deck is Economy Ramp. Economy Ramp is a green and black deck with Chen, who we'll cover later, as the signature hero. To get the most out of this deck, protect your position as you pile up heaps of gold. Cast Payday to double your gold, then double it again. Your money and your mana bring colossal beasts like the Thunderhide pack to bear down on your opponent. It is only a matter of time before your immense resources and powerful creeps overwhelm your enemies. If they don't beat you early, they will lose. Economy Ramp makes use of high mana and high gold cost cards. This does mean you'll be unstoppable late game, but it does mean your early game is going to struggle. However, some of your lowest mana cards are such as Payday, which doubles your gold. So I'd recommend using 1 Payday early at least to give yourself a boost of gold so you can get that item bringing you across into the mid game. Chen's ability is also fantastic for keeping you alive early on, but we'll cover that later. This deck is all about survival. You might think it's about gaining gold, but it's not. This deck is designed to give you gold without any trouble. You need to focus on surviving. If you make it to the late game, there's no way your opponent can beat you. Now, fortunately, green is actually pretty good at stalling. You've got cards like Rebel Decoy and Act of Defiance. Rebel Decoy allowing you to reposition, perhaps into a better defensive standpoint, and Act of Defiance boosting up your creep's strength, which of course, you might have a few extra thanks to Chen. Hopefully Rix will also feature in this deck. Rix is really good with items, which of course you're using your gold to get, and he's very good at stalling with his ability Relentless Rebel. And you don't have to worry too much about feeding gold to your enemies with Rix, because your entire deck is designed to gain gold fast. I wouldn't want Phantom Assassin or Solar Khan in here, so of the current black heroes, hopefully we don't get either of them, but we're pretty sure Bounty Hunter is a black hero, and he'll almost definitely feature in this deck if that's true. The third deck is Control. Control is a blue and red deck with Zeus as its signature hero. The advice for this deck is to control the board until you knock the opponent out with a masterful blow. Conflagration sweeps the field, and Thunder God's Wrath cracks their weakened heroes. Your ever-growing force of red mist pillagers threatens immediate victory if your opponent drops their guard for even a moment. You're ready with Time of Triumph, prepared to crush them if they try to stall. Similarly to Economy Ramp, this deck has crazy late game potential. So focus on the early game a bit here. You're using blue and red, which means your big beefy red heroes can prop up that early game for you. By turn 3, you have 2 of your most important cards available, Conflagration and Red Mist Pillager. Use Conflagration to keep the enemy down. It's one of your biggest control cards and a center point for the deck, whereas Red Mist Pillager is your win condition. You need to protect the Red Mist Pillager with things like the blue spell Ventriloquy to taunt away from him, or Cunning Plan to move him around, at least until you get 2 on the board. Time of Triumph is the final nail in the coffin. It seems incredibly strong, as you'll see when we cover the new cards later. Armored Cleave is the 4th and final deck. It is a red-green deck with Axe as its signature hero. To win with this aggressive deck, dominate the lane with heavily armoured and hard-hitting troops. Cleave allows your heroes to spread damage around all of your foes, cutting a bloody swathe through your enemies. Break the symmetry of Grand Melee by deploying armoured units against squishy, unarmoured enemies. It is only a matter of time before your army is the only one left standing. This deck seems to be focused quite heavily around combos. For example, Berserker's Call plus Cleave is ridiculous. Berserker's Call forces you to fight your neighbours, which will be 3 enemies, and Cleave hits 3 enemies. On top of that, you've also got cards such as Time of Triumph, potentially in this deck, which again, we'll cover later. There's no particular win condition, at least not from the few cards that we've had revealed so far. It's almost like a quasi-control deck, just via Cleave. Heroes that I hope they include are things such as Bristleback, great armor, and really benefits from being able to kill enemies. Rix is pretty okay as well. As far as green heroes go, he's probably one of the best to have in this deck, at least of the ones we know so far. And of course, Cleave is a stacking ability, so putting Sven, who already has Cleave in this deck, is going to be pretty nutty. So, those are the 4 decks. You might get a chance to play at PAX. Which one are you looking forward to the most? Let us know in the comments below. You might have noticed something though. Not all of those cards are ones that we already knew of. We have 10 new cards, including 1 new hero, and that new hero is Chen. Chen is a 4 attack, 0 armor, and 9 health green hero. His ability is Holy Persuasion. Holy Persuasion is an active ability with a 4-turn timer, which lets you control an enemy creep. This ability is great for early tempo control, even stealing an enemy melee creep, which means you now have 3 melee creeps against his 1. Of course, later on this means you can steal a 14-0-14 Thunderhide pack on a 4-turn basis, which is absolutely ridiculous. Not to mention, Chen has 4 attack and 9 health, which are really good stats. We talk a lot about the 3 attack problem here on this channel, because you can't actually fully kill even a melee creep, but Chen has 4 attack, so he doesn't have any problem there. And with 9 health, there aren't that many heroes that can one-shot him. In fact, in a 1v1, on turn 1, the only hero we know of so far that could kill him would be Phantom Assassin, and even then, she only just barely does it. Chen's premier card is Hand of God. Hand of God is another new card, which is a 7 mana green premier spell. 7 mana means a turn 4 at the earliest card, so it's a pretty late game card. Hand of the God fully heals each ally. You then give allies damage immunity for this round. To put this into perspective, fully healing 1 unit with a Fountain Flask consumable costs 4 gold. So to full heal an entire lane, that's some pretty good value. On top of that, you're also damage immune for 1 round. Now this is a bit of an overlapping ability because you're fully healing them and then also protecting them from damage for a turn, but it does eventually stack up. It's not like they cancel each other out. After that first turn of damage immunity, they're still at full health, which can be pretty handy. It just might not suit every single scenario. Overall, it's pretty darn good. We're not entirely sure how damage immunity works, but we can infer that it simply means that attack damage in combat doesn't seem to do anything. The next card is Payday. It's a black spell that costs 3 mana and doubles your gold. Now, just to note here, this is not the Bounty Hunter Premier card. You don't see the little circle of Bounty Hunter's face in it, so it isn't that. What it is though, is a duplicate of Day at the Track. Day at the Track also is a black card that doubles your gold. This is what the Econ Ramp deck meant when it said double your gold and then double again. I can only assume it was referring to Payday and Day at the Track. Finally, we also get to see Thunderhide Pack. We already knew that it was a 14-0-14 creep, but now we get to see that it has 6 siege as well, which is pretty darn powerful if you ask me. On top of that, we see that it costs 8 mana, which suggests that you can summon this normally, and you don't just have to use Horn of the Alpha to summon the Thunderhide Pack. Disciple of Nevermore is a 3 mana black creep. Its ability gives other allies +2 attack, but -2 armor. You would normally rather armor over attack, unless you're an aggro deck, which is exactly where Disciple of Nevermore is going to fit in, at least with these 4 decks. There is also some pretty interesting Chen interaction with this creep, because you could steal this creep, bring it onto your side. Of course you'd then have +2 attack for all of your creeps and heroes, but -2 armor. But Chen does have access to damage immunity, which would basically cancel out the -2 armor. Conflagration, we've already seen this card in very brief window, but we didn't know of its effect before. We kind of figured it out, but now we have confirmation that Conflagration is a 5 mana card that deals 2 damage to each enemy before the action phase in a lane. Red Mist Pillager is our next card. It is a 5 mana red creep, and this is my kind of unit. I love this interaction in card games. After the combat phase, if Red Mist Pillager dealt battle damage to a tower this round, summon a Red Mist Pillager. You can keep churning out these Red Mist Pillagers, and it does cost 5 mana, which is pretty huge, but if you get a few of these on the board, it is well worth it. Now, 4 attack, 0 armor and 2 health is very hard to keep alive, but if you prioritize mobility over just pure protection, I think you're going to do pretty well with this, and I'm ready to summon my horde. Divine Purpose is the next spell, a 7 mana green card that modifies a unit with damage immunity. Now, unlike Chen's ability, this is 7 mana for 1 unit of damage immunity, which seems pretty steep, but we're not entirely sure how damage immunity works, so this could actually be quite powerful. We'll let you know when we get more confirmation about damage immunity. Time of Triumph is an 8 mana red spell, which modifies allied heroes with +4 attack, +4 armor, +4 health, +4 cleave, +4 retaliate, and +4 siege. That's a lot of stats. This is nasty. Imagine a late game scenario. You've knocked one tower down and you need one more. So you stack up a bunch of heroes in a lane and use Time of Triumph. That game is over. Similarly, there's also a new card called Grand Melee, a 3 mana red spell which, if there is an allied red hero in this lane, grants all heroes +2 cleave. This is like a baby version of Time of Triumph. +2 cleave has got nothing on the +4s to every stat of Time of Triumph, but I'm looking forward to this very brawly playstyle of red. So, there are our 10 new cards. Which is your favourite? Let us know. One thing the community has picked up on is that Premier spells seem to have differing rarities. This might mean that heroes also have different rarities, and it would mean that, for example, Solar Khan is a common hero, Zeus is an uncommon hero, and Chen is a rare hero. This isn't confirmed, but I guess we'll find out whether or not when the game is released this November. Good luck to anyone going to PAX. It was also confirmed by Jeep Barnett that you can record footage at PAX, so get your cameras out, and if you do get some good footage, you can send it in to us for our videos, and we will love you forever for it. If you'd like to do that and help us out, drop it in an email to theartificersguild@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to help us out, feel free to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you know every time we release a video. If you like this video, and if you want some more, then check out our most recent video, and here is a related video we think you might enjoy. So take a look. I have been Divok of the Artificers Guild, and I will see you next time.